Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog, and probably more a continuation of last week on my mother's health rather than about anything else. I've got to go and see my mother very shortly. I don't know quite how long I can record, and my sister may turn up, so we'll go as fast as we can. I start this off always by dating it. It's year 5, blog 5, and it's in legacy numbers, blog number 213, and it's dated the 22nd of March, 2026. And if I look out the window like I normally do, it's a bright day. Spring seems to be here. I did, after I visited my mum, just cut the top of the lawn, had the mower at the highest setting and just quickly did that. Few little teething issues on that is that I need to contact the council and pay the bill so that I can have garden waste removed, another expense, but it must be done. I can't not do that, even if my mother might not be able to see that. Much more about that later on. But I think we'll just go straight into the news. It's only what I've picked up. I've been listening very little. I've been walking with my sister to get to my mum and walking back. And apart from doing some shopping, I've done little walking, although I did make a sort of like a heading to trying to get back to my walking, and went and did about a mile on Friday. And this is to exercise my leg. Sorry about the pause there, but I had to think a little bit about what I was trying to say. But we'll get to the news. It's only what I've picked up this morning just to keep this current. So no opinions on this. I know very little about what's going on in the news. But the first story was a significant meningitis outbreak in Kent has reached at least 34 confirmed or suspected cases. Thousands of students have queued for vaccines for a third consecutive day following the deaths of 2 young people. Wow, meningitis. It's sort of one of those diseases that I know of. I think I was vaccinated. I don't think the vaccination or the detail of the vaccination has been given very much closer to where we are now in years compared to back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. That's all I can say about that, and I don't even know if that's true, but it seems very much that it would be if thousands of students are queuing up. Vaccinations, that's a difficult subject, really. Many really require it, others don't believe in it. It's a difficult one, but I have no opinion on it. I was followed by what my mother and father did on that one. Continuing, the ongoing conflict in Iran has triggered a world energy shock, with typical annual energy bills forecast to rise by over £330 in July. Fuel prices at the pumps are also soaring. And I did notice that because when I went shopping, I go past a garage and I saw the price of diesel. I did catch a little bit on the news on this. I think that pushes the annual bill to over 1,800 for annually. Far too high, all depending apparently on the Iranian conflict and how soon that will end. Trump, sort of triggered by Trump a couple of weeks ago, and when I've caught the news, all I've seen is little explosions going off as they hit buildings, so I know sort of like very little about it other than I hate war. That's all I can say on that. The next story, Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces internal party pressures and leadership speculation following in uncertainty on decisions on the conflict in Iran, and a speech by Angela Rayner. Now, I know nothing about this, a speech. I do know of the deliberations on sending our troops to the Straits to protect the waterways and bases in the conflict. Yes, I do believe he was slow. Many people believe that. Nothing much more to add to that than that. Then the last one, security experts and the UK media, so it's basically speculation, have warned that Iranian missiles now possess the range to potentially reach London. Now that's concerning, isn't it? I mean, my God. I mean, I'm not in London. Can they get further? Who knows? What does that actually mean? Have we got defenses? We're sending our troops. So maybe we stop them at the start, but where are they firing? You know, if they're firing them from other than where we think they are, they could get through. Have we got the defense? Who knows? I'm not sure on that. And then sadly, I heard of the death of Chuck Norris. He died at 86. I think the news was on Friday. Not the sort of actor that I watched an awful lot of, to say, but was very impressed and believed he brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. I saw him in a Bruce Lee film. I think it's called Way of the Dragon. And I always remember his covers in video stores. You know, Delta Force was one, Invasion USA was another. They were very explosive covers, and I remember renting them and enjoying them, what I saw, but I wasn't a big that type of action person. Even when it comes to Bruce Lee, I saw him in The Green Hornet and Way of the sort of like you know, the Dragon, Enter the Dragon films. So that was Bruce Lee. But Chuck Norris, yeah, Walker, Texas Ranger, the TV show. I mean, there must have been hundreds of that show. And it's been repeated many, many times that I've seen on Sky going through the channels. And of course, he's well known for his martial arts. Probably not as much as Bruce Lee, but I believe he was a black belt in lots and lots of types of fighting: karate, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu. And I heard that he created his own type of fighting. I think it was called Chun Kuk Do. But wow, I believe he was even training on the day before he died. And obviously the family have not speculated or talked about too much in regards to what caused his death. It was sudden. That's all we know. And very sad. I hate it when my childhood is shrinking even more, and it's just becoming more and more as I move forward, going through the years. So that sort of like covers the news. Just take a sip of water. And yeah, so then we talk a little bit about me. I haven't been at work because when my mother fell, you'll need to look at last week, she fell on me. I've been in pain. You'll probably see me shuffling around. I can't sit in this chair really for very long lengths of time. But I had problems with my leg and back, and still do. And I was more concentrating on my mother for the first week, and it's why I've tried to get the walking going this week a little bit more than the first week. And that's because, you know, when you know that there's an operation, when you're concerned about your mother and what's going to happen, that first week was damning, incredibly damning and concerning, and it's difficult. I've gotten to know really the patients in the rest of the ward. My mother has been sleeping an awful lot, but we're talking about me at the moment. So I had a little bit of blood in my stool at the beginning, but that's gone away. And now I'm just sort of like hobbling and straining and uncomfortable and finding it difficult to sleep. And I did try and call the doctor this week. They told me I don't need to see a doctor. I need to see a physio type doctor. They're only there on certain days, and the earliest one that I can go and see is the 25th. They will backdate any fit note that I need. Work is well aware, and I don't think they're too concerned, being as everything that's going on with my mum, although I'm not sure I'm under compassionate grounds, but I'll have a fit note anyway. So it's not something that you see, everything that to do with me, I'm pushing to one side. I do know food is important for me to eat, which I'm not eating very well. I may have lost a bit more weight. I don't know if that shows. With the tablets I'm taking, it's an expected thing to lose a little bit of weight as well. It makes you go to the toilet a lot more, and that's difficult in the hospital. And all I've been doing really is concentrating on mum the most. And yeah, it was awful. Mother's Day, all that sort of stuff was affected. And just concentrating on my mum really. And I'll talk about my mum now. And she came out of the operation, and we were so glad about that. It was hard to see my mother in such an uncomfortable situation. I did look underneath the sheets just briefly. She had a sort of like a compression bandage. It's sort of like a sheet wrapped around the legs next to a machine that was pumping air in and out, and that's to stop blood clots. And the operation is mainly at the top of the leg, going past the knee and down below the knee, where she now has a rod and plates and screws. And they told us that they're going to start trying to sit her up within a day. And we were like, wow, really? But if it's that quick, that sounded great to us, because it means mobility, and it also means coming home. But we also recognize a lot of changes there. So that was Sunday, and on Monday they did tell us that they got her to the edge of the bed and got her to stand once. Absolutely fantastic. And Monday went quite quick. Tuesday was the most joyous day of the week. We saw them try and get her up. We also learnt a little bit about how to roll my mum and put pads on. And they used a new ROS return machine. Now, we've got one of these ROS returns. It's a platform with a climbing frame that you use to get up. But this ROS return, it's what it's called, has only one bar. And that's a shame, because my mother sometimes needs to pull herself up, but you can only pull yourself forward. And as you pull yourself forward, the bars at the back have got these swing arms. So they're upright like that, so that she can stand in the middle of it. And when she stood up, they swing round like that and form a seat. She can then fall on the seat, which is only going to be inches away from her when they're put down. And you can then wheel around, ask her to stand up just slightly, remove those, and put her into a chair. And they did that. Absolutely marvellous. But the thing is huge. Now, that comes into play a little bit later on when I talk about it. But she sat in this chair. We fed her the food from the hospital, which my sister calls prison slop. And I must admit, it's the most beige stuff that you'll ever come across in your life. Awful. And, of course, we've got a new food regime that's on the wall that I took pictures of, that says that she needs to have assisted feeding, constant water to get rid of the food debris because she's not swallowing very well. And yeah, horrible food. And that's why I've been taking a flask of tea, a flask of soup, cheese and salad cream sandwiches, sometimes Branston pickle, and bits and bobs and sweets and stuff. But what I mean by that is soft chocolate, like a Terrace chocolate orange, which has got little segments. They're very small, so they melt very easily in your mouth. But it's very difficult then, because you start thinking, can you give her crisps? Can you give her cheese and crackers? It's all got to be chewy. Cheese is fine. Butter's fine. Crackers, maybe a little bit too crispy and hard. Crisps, well, I suppose Watsits, those sorts of things, those Monster Munch type things might be okay. Don't know. All of these things you have to sort of like keep asking questions of when somebody comes round and stuff. And we've seen a lot of people take blood pressure, try and take bloods, all sorts of stuff. Very distressing. But she just seemed so alert on Tuesday. She sat in that chair for over an hour. We got her back into bed. But they tried several days afterwards. Wednesday, Thursday, we saw them. Didn't see them do it Saturday. Can't quite remember Friday. But she could. What happens is she can get to the edge of the bed. She can stand on the machine. She can pull herself forward, but not quite far enough for the wings to come down. And that's where I was talking about that climbing frame thing, where if it just had one bar higher, she'd be pulling herself up straighter, because at the moment she's sort of like this, too far away, not pulling, not enough on the arms to pull, because it's over too far away and too low down. It's like that. So yeah, we were disappointed. We were hoping that she'd be able to sit in the seat for an extra 10 minutes each day or something. But it then raised the question on equipment. Yes. So the physio did come round on a Thursday, and we were talking about what we've got in place already. So I happened to mention, along with my sister, we've got a bed, and we bought a riser. She's got the ROS machine. She's got a commode. And we then started to talk about this other ROS machine, and I had to take measurements. And the problem with it is it's 78 centimeters wide. Now you do the math. If you want to do it, I think it's 2.5 centimeters to an inch. Anyway, 78 centimeters. Our doors are just around about the middle of the 60 to 65 centimeter range. So it's not even the door, that's the frame. So getting it in is difficult. Now, I asked the question, does it come disassembled? For which we don't know. And there's two of these machines that I've seen at the hospital. One is just totally welded, one unit, and another one that's got two Allen key type bolts. Now, that got me excited. I thought, oh, I can undo those bolts and I can get it through the door. You can't tamper with medical equipment. You do that, they have an accident, libel cases. So I asked, well, if it comes disassembled, can they assemble it at the house? Unknown again. But they said unlikely that would be the case. So I have to look at this and go, unlikely is probably the most likely. Okay. And whether the insurance for the people that deliver it would be able to do that. They usually come assembled. So we're going to have to do that old sofa routine, where you angle it round through the door and then lift it up on its side and all of this sort of stuff. And while we're talking about this, we have to talk about which room is the best room to put her in. At the moment, she lives in 2 rooms. She's now possibly going to be in 1. Now, if she's in 1, which one? Do we do the tiled room? Do we do the main living room? If we do the main living room, there's a sofa. If there's a sofa, we have to move it. If we have to move it, we have to move it at the same time as the bed, which needs to be dismantled and placed into the other room. And that's done by them because it's a piece of medical equipment. And that means doing the sofa move and the bed move same time. Do I have the resources to be able to do that? I've asked my neighbour, and they said they'll try and help if they can, but we don't know what day that will be. And when the bed is in place, the electrical wires, because all the wires are the furthest away from the place that we're going to be putting the bed. And even if we put the bed center of the room, where do you put the rest of the furniture? And even then, the electrical wires would still trail across the room. Now, you can get these mats that you have in offices, but they don't supply them by the medical team. You have to buy those separately. So that's those rubber mats that go over electrical wires. Then I'd have to get a graded extension, which would have many plugs, because not only is the bed electric, so is the riser, and so forth and so forth. It gets very complex. And these are the thoughts that are in my head at the moment. It's measuring up, seeing what I can do, seeing what I can't do. I've gone down the route of trying to clear space. I've gone into the kitchen. I've removed Tupperware and all sorts of stuff, chucked it out. I've got containers with no lids, all sorts of stuff. And I'll tell you what, it's telling. Tiring. I've put plates and wrapped them up in paper and put them in boxes and labelled them up as Crocs and all sorts of stuff, while continuing to make food for my mother in the morning and get a flask of tea, as well as trying to hoover and steam clean and mow the lawn that I mentioned earlier. And well, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm exhausted, to be quite honest. And the only thing that's been keeping me going is my mum. My mum, she is the central, most important thing in my life. My family are important, and my sister is of equal importance. As much as we have our arguments, she's my sister. You know, that's how I look at it. So, you know, when she's got an operation coming up in April, she's been talking about, if things continue, cancelling. Even the doctors at the hospital said, don't do that. But we've got to have a care thing in place. Changes will be made in regards to my mother's health and getting her to bed. I recognise all of that. I don't need it repeating to me. I must admit it's been said an awful lot. But, you know, it is what it is. And like I say, she was very bright on Tuesday. What really overjoyed us was yesterday, Saturday. Yes. So all this week and most of last week, she's been giving us one-word answers and mixing up yes and no. She'll say no and still that means yes, but she won't have conversations like, who's that lady over there? What's she doing? All of that sort of stuff. They're one words. But on Saturday, we had a conversation. I said, "Oh, Mum, you're reading the paper. Anything interesting?" She went, "No, not really. But it's something to do." I went, wow, you know, it was words of that effect. I'm not sure exactly what the words were. And when I said to her, did you want a cup of tea? She went, "Oh, yes." And I said, "You don't want the hospital one, do you?" "No, yours." So a lot more brighter, and I'm hoping that that's going to continue and her strength will return. So as you can see, there's lots of challenges going on. Some bright news, but it fades in and out. And seeing her sleeping and having her jaw open when she's sleeping and slanting to one side and hearing the screams when they have to change her pad, knowing that we've got to do that at some point next week or possibly the week after. All of that sort of stuff is distressing. And I hope people understand that's where I'm at with my mother. And I went very quickly through that. It's been a week of pure hell, really, to be quite honest. But with some highlights. When I've got home, I've been doing stuff around the house, so I haven't been watching an awful lot. But I did do my live with Ian Hill, The Ramblings, and it was the 99th episode, and the next week is the 100th. And what he's decided to do, which I think is very, very nice, is theme it around Doctor Who. And he wants me to talk about my passions of Doctor Who, and hopefully the people that come in to chat will also show their passion for it and ask questions. And I suppose it's because he thinks it's one of those things that I'm quite knowledgeable on, and very much a less stressful thing. See how nice Ian is. I'm really looking forward to that. Nobody knows what's happening on Wednesday, but you know, I'm looking forward to the 100th Ian and Del Boy live, you know, on Ian's channel. As you know, most of the stuff that, you know, channels that I go and see a lot of are in the description of this blog. So please do go and have a look at all of those previous blogs. They've all got different people that I've seen through the years, and they're all, even now, equally go and look at them. They're really worth a look. So that leads us to really the shout outs. I think it's best we get to that, and there's a lot of them. I did see a trend noting that there were no comments, so I put a little message back saying heart left to keep comment, but mentioned please try and keep the blog in its natural state as possible. So if you do have a question, please ask one, because it will make things a lot shorter, and it will mean I've got less to deliberate and less to think about. I do recognise that this blog's going to be short again, but you know, they're going to get longer as we go along, and the comments and questions do keep my mind a bit active. But it is what it is, and I'm quite happy. Just people just being nice and stuff. So, and everybody I believe was. I didn't see any horrible ones. So the shout outs and every single, by the way, anybody that's watching this blog, thank you very much. It's lovely to see that people are interested in what's going on, and keeping the channel alive with my retro aspect of my life. You know, it's something that will be part of my life until I die. So I've got so much information to still impart to people, and you know, less outlets for me to do that in. So I've just got this. So thank you very much. And these people have left comments, and I hope I haven't left anybody out, but I'll be reading the comments shortly. And they are, in no particular order: Carl Todd, Jambon, Rocket Bunny, Ian Hill The Ramblings, Robert's Retro Gaming, Steve Still Plays Games, Wee Bob, Down the Rabbit Hole, Colin Jones, aka Ponder, LFC Gamer and Vlogs, Seb's Place, 20th Century Gaming, Muckman Movies, Cy Robson, Martroid, Gans Teeth, and Sandra Clark. Oh my God, I think, is that the longest shout out I've done? It so made me smile when I went back and just saw the names. I sometimes speed read what's been written just to see if there's a question, because most people that ask a question do that at the end. So I just quickly look, and that's where I noticed the trend. There could be more, I don't know, but all I'm saying is I didn't see that many. But it didn't matter to me. This was about my mother, and everybody who loves my mother parting on there, please pass on, you know, our love to her. And of course I do that. And I even took my pad in to the hospital to read out the names, and she seemed like she sort of like recognized what I was talking about, and she had a smile on her face. So that's all you can hope for, isn't it, really? So we'll start reading out. I'm still drinking lots of water, so I do apologize if that puts people off. But here we go. So these aren't in any particular order. I'm just reading them as they are here. And the first one says Jambon, and it says, "Good grief, Del, what a week you had. Hope you are hanging on in there, and I hope your sister is okay too. Having to administer CPR can be extremely traumatic. I can see you have a lot of comments this week, so no need to read this out. Take care, matey, and all the best to your mum. Please tell her we're all been asking after her." Of course I'm doing that. And thank you very much, Jambon, for your very kind message. And yes, my sister had to do CPR. Please see the blog last week. And the interesting thing, if I didn't mention it, is that when the paramedics turned up, And they said, had you done CPR, because of the pressure you're putting on a heart, it's instant, go to hospital. Always remember that if you do that, because you could have bruised a rib, cracked a rib, all sorts of stuff. It means instantly you go to hospital. We didn't know that at the time. My sister wouldn't have known it, and it was a very distressful time. So, but salute, my friend. Thank you very much, and I'll keep you posted on all what's going on here. So, thank you. Next one is Carl Todd. Now, he left a message last week, but well after when I recorded, because I started so early, and I've started as early as I can today, and I still have to go and care for my mother, so I'm going as fast as I can. But I think he's repeated it here because I recognise some of the text that's here, so I may go back, but I think it's the same. And it says, "Hi Del, I'm so sorry to hear about your mum's condition and hearing that the doctor failed to check her knee. I hope that that's right, they did. I hope that she is recovering okay from the operation. Hopefully, she is now getting the best possible care with her condition and can be monitored carefully. Hopefully, having close supervision by the medical team will allow them to agree on the best way forward regarding medication, etc. I went through a very long time of my mum being in hospital, so I know how you feel. Being there for her is the best thing that you can do for her now, and I'm sure she would be happy to see you at visiting time. I hope that you can sometime to look after yourself too. I've copied my reply that I sent for late last week. There we are. There's the admission below because I submitted it too late. That's fine. And just to go over that, being there, yeah, I was very scared on the Sunday. I didn't mention this. When my sister came, when my aunt went, she came in on Sunday, and she told her that she was flirting with the doctor after the operation just by grabbing it, by sort of touching his beard like this, and she recognised her. And when my sister and I went in, the first thing my sister said was, "Do you recognise who I am?" She said, "Of course," and she mentioned her name, but she didn't recognise me, and that was probably the most damning thing that happened last week, to hear your mother not recognise you or call you by your name. But everybody was telling me it's probably the anaesthesia, and to not be too low. But I had to go away outside, and I sort of threw up. Yes, I was coughing and throwing up. I remember that, and water was coming into my eyes, and I didn't ask the question again until Monday. And she recognised me. So it was nothing to worry about at the time, but it was that first damning bomb, your mum not recognising you. And that was a day I don't want to remember. Saturday and Sunday last week, the operation on Sunday with your mum not recognising you, were the worst weekend I could have in a long time. Probably since the first time that my mother went into hospital and later was diagnosed with vascular dementia, was that particular moment. So, moving on. I was sick for a while. I still have some infection, but feeling a lot better. This is still Carl Todd. Work has been intense too, and I've been burning the candle at both ends due to issues with customers in Southeast Asia and Canada. So by the time I've got to the weekend, I've been burnt out due to a lack of sleep. Totally recognise that, matey. Please try and look after yourself. And I know that's silly coming from me when I'm not looking after myself, but you get the sentiment. A funny coincidence happened the other week. I was watching your blog while working. The doorbell went and it was a delivery. I opened it up and there was the Doctor Who Season 20 collection. I don't order this. I looked at the paper inside, which was from some company I didn't recognise. At that exact moment, you showed off the same Blu-ray collection and explained that the entire collection had been sent as part of the BBC replacement programme. Well, that was a guess, and I'm pretty sure I was right. That explains it. Now I'm just waiting to see if there will be a replacement for Season 18, Disc 1, and I'd chase that up, matey, because I got that first. I had to prove I had it, my receipts and so forth, but they obviously thought it was okay. But that was the first disc I got for it, was the Season 20 that was taking ages. Anyway, some new questions. Brilliant. I meant to ask the first question earlier, but I think I missed your cutoff time. You did. Yeah. This is the question 1. In the future, if autonomous cars were affordable and accessible, would you want one? Or are you the type of person that enjoys the experience of driving? I experience the driving aspect. I am probably, and I think a lot of drivers say this, the worst passenger. I know that when I had to get to hospital, the car was being driven and I was the passenger and it was in my car and I was there looking at the steering wheel and the gears being changed and the pedals being pushed and I was going, I should be doing this. And when we were approaching cars, I was putting my foot on an invisible brake to brake. Oh, I can imagine what I'd be like in an autonomous car. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do this, but I would be the worst passenger. Would I buy an autonomous car? No. Don't think so. I can see them being very useful. Say you had an accident and you needed the ambulances that were still in the same state as they are now, possibly taking hours to get to you. An autonomous car that's been trained to come to you and get to the hospital is something that is a possible godsend. I don't know. I'm a bit open on it though, but I wouldn't buy one. I love electronics in cars. You know, when I was buying my car, the very first new car I ever bought, I was looking at all of the equipment that was inside it. You know, oh, what does it do? What music systems have got in it? And all this sort of stuff. I was like a 12-year-old boy, you know, getting its toys for Christmas. You know, oh, that's electric. Oh, that's shiny, isn't it? And all that sort of stuff. Stupid. It's a car. You got to get from A to B. That's what you want. But I was in that state where I was traveling with work, and if you're traveling for hours to get to work and hours to get back, and you're using it for work purposes as well, those things become the same sort of comfort that you want in your living room because you're spending so much time. So, yeah, you know, but going back to autonomous cars, I'm open to it, but I don't think I want one, and I'm a little bit, to be quite honest, scared of them at the moment. But there you go. So number 2, will you be buying The Thing Expanded? It looks very interesting, but the price is steep, and I believe it's got an end point of the end of this month. At the moment, it seems an impossibility with the money that you've got to spend to get your mum home and the equipment that's requiring it. Some of it will come from the hospital. Other stuff, like preparing my mum's food, means that I need more equipment in the kitchen, like I don't know, like an electric whisk to mash the potatoes up more softer. And the microwave, as you know, blew up and I had to buy a new microwave. So that was an expense, plus all the expense on the car the couple of weeks before has left me in a situation where buying that is difficult. But it's not the end of the month yet, so I'm open. But please look at last week. I did mention The Thing Expanded. I'm pretty sure it's a documentary. It's got hours and hours of interviews and so forth. John Carpenter's The Thing is one of my favourite films. I've got more repeat copies of that in different steelbooks than a lot of my collection. So it's a shame that I might miss it. And the last question is, the new season of Monica started. I wonder if you watched the first season of that. I didn't know that. Monarch, I did know of that, and I did watch a few episodes of it. I think it's called Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and it's got Kurt Russell in it. I watched a few episodes of the first season. I didn't know the second season had started, but I enjoyed what I liked because it was a continuation of Godzilla. I believe it's like Godzilla versus the Titans, if I remember rightly. But I know very little of it, and I can only say I watched, I think, 3 episodes, maybe 4, and I need to get back into that. And maybe the time in the evening will be a little bit more easier with my mum possibly being in bed longer. I don't know. But it doesn't rule out that I can't watch it. So there we go. You then say all the best to you and your mum, and I'm hoping for a speedy recovery following the operation. And thanks to you and your fellow YouTubers for creating so much free content that helps to take my mind off of the everyday hassles that can easily bog you down. And what a kind and nice thing to say, which goes on to the people that I'm going to be mentioning in their comments right now and in the description of this blog, where I've got many people that I talk about that have their own channel. They do it for nothing. They do it because they want to give out content. They want to pass knowledge, which is what I want to do. And, you know, sometimes you call it a legacy. For me, it's to, for my family to remember me when I'm gone and talk about the equipment that's behind me that they might need to sell to, keep themselves going. I hope it helps them buy a house or whatever. Who knows? We don't know where the end of our life is, but that was the part of this blog. It's a diary. It's a diary, really. This is a video diary. I don't know why they don't call them V-diaries, but they don't. They call them blogs, and there we are. That's where I am, but I'm not a blogger. I wouldn't class myself as that. So salute, my friend. Thank you for all of your support. Wonderful. We then move to Robert's Retro Gaming. He's just put one line. It's just pleasant that I've got something. Difficult times for you all. I hope you all come through it all right. And lots, I think he's supposed to put lots. He's put lost. Lots more time with your mum. He's put lost. All the best, and thank you very much, Robert. I've been still watching your channel. You've kept me company on my phone at the hospital. Keep playing those games. Keep doing that content, matey. Thanks very much for all your support. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. I'm just going to take a quick break now and get a glass of water and make sure everything's okay, and then I'll be back in. Well, it'll be under 2 minutes, but for you it'll be seconds. There you are. I said it'd be minutes, and it was. So we move, I believe, salute to Robert. We move to Rocket Bunny, and thank you so much, Robert. I do mean that. I don't care that it's one line, whatever. You're thinking about me. And my mother in particular, and that's what's important. So we get to Rocket Bunny, and he's put, "Hey, Del, hope your mum continues to be comfortable in hospital and improves where she can. I'm with my own mum again today on Saturday while Dad goes on his now ritual pilgrimage to the London Festival of Railway Modelling at Alexandra Palace. He's got his own health issues also now, so my sister has gone to keep an eye on him while he browses the endless second-hand model railway stalls and performs detailed analysis of every single layout." That sounds wonderful. Treasure these moments, matey, is all I can say. Absolutely wonderful. You don't see a smile on my face very much, so you just know how much of an effect you're having on me, so thank you. I've been ploughing through the season 21 Doctor Who box set this week in the evenings. I'm largely impressed with the quality of the upgraded and additional content. I like the slight change to the behind the sofa feature by bringing in a guest star from the story being watched. For Resurrection, that's Resurrection of the Daleks, by the way, we had Rula Lenska, who used to be married to Dennis Waterman, by the way, of all people, on the sofa. She looked so bemused through the whole thing. Yeah, she was with Peter Davison and Janet Fielding. Yeah, I watched that. So it was quite funny. So far, my favourite story so far is a surprise, Warriors of the Deep. I've always liked the set, and now with the 5.1 surround, new FX, and the Mica update, that's the monster, it modernizes it well and brings the action up to speed. Do you know what? I've watched so far The Awakening, Frontios, Resurrection of the Daleks so far of that set. I haven't been able to watch too much, but these are in episodic formats, and the documentaries have been wonderful that I've watched so far. I do go to Behind the Sofa quite a lot, actually, after watching it. It is one of my favourites. I do like how they made them. I agree with you that the upgrade is great. We don't know at the moment how much the BBC are using AI to upgrade. I do know there's a petition to asked the BBC to stop using AI to upgrade. I think that's because of previous box sets, the last two in particular, have used AI, and it's been notable with some mistakes made. I haven't seen any in this one, mistakes, but I don't know whether AI has been used. We all know my opinion on AI. It's a tool. As long as it's used as a tool, I'm okay, but I don't like it when creative part of it is taken away or your image is used without your consent. So I'll stick with that. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'll show you it quickly now. There's my box set. It was going to be shown a bit later on. So I have been watching it, and you can see it's opened. There you are, look. The bottom slips off, so it's open. And I've enjoyed what I've watched so far, but I always did like the Peter Davison era, and Frontios is one of my favourite stories. It's actually got a couple in here. Caverns of Androzani is obviously my favourite Peter Davison story. His last story. It is a regeneration story. And I think he started quite strong with his Castrovalva story, and Legopolis being a two-parter as far as I'm concerned. And ending on Caves of Androzani just was an icing, really. So it was great. You've continued. Looking forward to the 100th episode with Ian next Wednesday. I hope I'm not going to be the only viewer engaging with Doctor Who questions. The usual crowd are very film-centric, but they do like Doctor Who. I do know that a few of them have watched it and like it. Probably not to the same passion as Ian and I, but, you know, we wanted to do something that we'd enjoy, that if we were talking in a pub. We've done in the past a James Bond one, and so it makes sense that we'll do a Doctor Who. Maybe we'll do a Star Trek one at some point. You never know. You continue. Have you managed to do any gaming at all in the last few weeks? Even just a fix in the evenings once you are home? I can answer that very quickly. Very little, but yes. It's funny. I looked in my cupboards the other day, and I found this. It is my old, if I can get it off. Not sure if I can, because it uses pinches. There we are. An old Wii controller, right? It's the old sort of classic one, you know, that's more like the old NES controller, but it's got a couple of analog controllers down there, and it's small and dinky. But it's a Wii end, right? Which means I could use it on my Mister if I bought that snack or snack interface. But I looked into the same drawer, and I had this. I must have bought this at some point. It is a converter for a Wii controller end to a USB, and I put it into my PC and it recognized it. I then put it into my Mister and it recognized some of the buttons, but I went to the script that's in every Mister and it recognizes every button now. So I've got another controller. Maybe it'll make me better at games, don't know. But have I been playing much? Not a lot, but I've been playing a game just as it happened called Blossom Seed of Life, which is a sort of a third person rather than first person planet crafter. You've landed on a planet. It's got elements around. You mine them. You craft things. You've got very little energy. Food is important. Water's important. You're going around and you've got to terraform this whole planet. So it's a bit like The Martian. You know, their film, The Martian, which is set on Mars. So, yeah, I've been enjoying that. It's a demo only at the moment. It's not been released, although it might have been this week. I don't know. I can see its shortcomings. If it's priced right, I might buy it. If it's over 20 quid, no. I have to buy things very, very cheap these days. Maybe it's something I'll buy in a sale in the future. But I enjoyed the couple of hours that I've played on it. So I've answered that very quickly. I've recently picked up Enshrouded again. I played 60 hours or so on the launch, then left it there at a maximum level of 25 character at the time, with most of the available map explored. Since then, the developers have released a lot of content. They've almost doubled the size of the map, added lots of new content, NPCs, dungeons, and even farming. I tamed goats today for the first time. Wow! I didn't know a lot of that. I played Enshrouded. I put in 20 or so hours. I got to a point, though, where a sticky point. I was playing by myself in the game, guys, not playing with myself. Playing by myself in the game. And I can't believe I said that. And there was this big dragon in this big sort of like castle. I'd set up a little home outside the castle. I went into the castle. There was a big monster. Every time I went into the enclosure this monster was in, all the doors would shut. You couldn't get out. And you had to find the weak point and kill it. And I could not kill this damn thing. Don't know what it was. I was just hopeless at it. It was a brick wall. I tried it several times and I went, shit. Because I can't go further into the map. As much as I found the towers and I could fly down and I could go through all of the mist for longer periods of time and pick up all this stuff, and I found stuff in coffins and stuff, and great stuff, I could not get past this point and I uninstalled it. Now, I might have been about a level 20, 25 character, I'm not sure. I loved it till I found that point and stopped. Shame. But because I was really liking it. It was like Valheim to a point at one, for me. I love this flying down sort of thing that you could do. And I was getting well into it. But anyway, glad you're playing that game. It says, take care, and I wish both of you and your mum a continued recovery. Salute. No, salute to you. And thanks so much for that comment. Absolutely brilliant. I so want to go back to playing games with you, matey, and the evenings now are free. I probably will try and do something tonight or over the next couple of days, because this is the time before my mum comes home. So I need to sort of like relax. That sounds a perfect way. Maybe Enshrouded I should reinstall, because I did save my game progress into the cloud, so it's still there. We moved to Wee Bob Art. He's got 2 channels, and he's put, hi Del, just a question to follow on from last comment. Question: I went to see Project Hail Mary yesterday and I wasn't disappointed. Really great adaptation of the book. There were a few things that I felt they missed out from the book. My question is therefore, what have you watched where you loved the movie or TV show but were slightly disappointed with something you thought they should have included? It doesn't need to be a book adaptation. It could just be a character that you love, but they just didn't quite hit the mark in some way or another. All the best to you, and I hope things are improving. I've given my outlet to that. Thank you, Wee Bob. And I've been watching your channel. You've done a new video this week. Thank you very much for that. And please go and visit my friends that have got their own channels. But in regards to your question, wow, that would require some thought. My favourite book was adapted into a record, a play, a radio play, a TV series, a film. And each time there has been a little bit more added to it, and including bits and aspects they missed in the book. And that's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. There are lots of books that I've read. I've read Planet of the Apes, that they didn't adapt totally, but the characters were mainly there. You know, Cornelius was quite rounded. Taylor was, in the first Planet of the Apes film I'm talking about here. They added certain things and brought stuff into the TV series that was short-lived. But I think that one they possibly missed a little bit. They tried to do that with Tim Burton's adaptation with the apes can fly and talk and drive cars and all of that sort of stuff. It wasn't in the film, but you can see that they adapted it later on. So that again isn't one to bring in. There's no point talking about Star Trek. That's quite rounded. But I suppose I could talk about William Shatner's Tech War books. I think that hasn't been adapted really much. It did go into a TV series, but it was totally different really. Not totally different, but lots of differences to the books. I read those. So that would be the closest thing that I could think of right now. But there are probably many more. Many more. I could probably talk about Arthur C. Clarke's books and stuff. Ray Bradbury. Yeah, because there was the adaptation. What's it called? I'm going to have to look it up. Oh, unless I can really remember it now. No. Rock Hudson was in it. Oh, for goodness sake. Rock Hudson, Ray Bradbury. Hudson, Ray Bradbury. Bradbury. The Martian Chronicles, of course. Why couldn't I bloody think of that? Let's see how my mind is on my mum and I'm not thinking very well. The Martian Chronicles was a shortened down version, but there's also a 4.5 hour version. I've got the 4.5 hour version, but the Martian Chronicles needed expanding more. And that definitely is one that fits into yours. And probably Dune, the original Dune, which has many production issues, a shortened down version, and even longer, a version that did come out later on, but Lynch, the director, disowned it all. A shame. All due to studio interference. So I hope that answers your question. I could go into more, but that's pretty much what comes to mind for me at the moment. And the next one is from my friend Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Like I say, please go and see Wee Bob, and salute to you and Ian Hill in particular, a great supporter of me. And he's put, "Hi Delboy, hope things have improved a bit for you. For you, your own health problems just add more pressure on you. Your mum, I know, is your number one priority, and just remember your own health is important, especially knowing what lies ahead." Yeah, and I must touch upon a little bit that might be in people's minds about the blood in the stool. Please understand that happened at the very beginning when my mum landed on me. There's been no more. I had a PSA test only weeks ago. I'm going to see a physio on the 25th. It will be mentioned then. And this has happened before when my dad died. This time I'm pretty sure I've pulled the tissue where I had my operation on my back, my sciatica operation, and scar tissue doesn't meld well. And it's probably pulled away and it caused the problem because it is the lower part of my spine. I've got no qualms that that's what the issue is, but I will have it checked out. I thought your blog was very powerful and emotional. I'm sure it touched everyone who watched it. I appreciate you being on our Wednesday live stream, and I hope it offered a few hours escape. Again, I was impressed by the support we got from our friends. I hope that helped you too. I'm looking forward to our episode 100 classic Doctor Who special. I'm just going to let you enjoy your passion for this. I know you have a good knowledge about it, and that we talked about this at the end, and he said that to me, and I went, thank you so much. And it almost makes you cry, when people do help like this. It's disconcerting what's going on at the moment, and thank you so much, Ian. You're such a support for me. My own health situation is just the same, so nothing much to report about it. I watched a few films, and two of my favourites were directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I can never pronounce his name, by the way, who is a director I enjoy. The Village, 2004, is perhaps my number one choice of all his films. I don't like to use the term masterpiece too often, but in my opinion, this is very close. Love everything about it. And Bryce Dallas Howard, who's oh, for God's sake, father of God's sake, he was in Happy Days and so forth. Brilliant lady she is. She's in the Jurassic Park films. Outstanding, playing the blind girl Ivy. She brings such emotional depth to the role. Each time I watch this film, I'm always moved by her performance. And my God, I've remembered it's Richard Cunningham in Happy Days. Why can't I remember the bloody name of him? For God's sake. Howard. Oh, God's sake. It'll come to me, I'm sure. The second film was Trap, 2024, a very different film from the director's previous films. I think the idea of a serial killer discovering he's been set up in a trap to capture him works well. It's like you are intrigued on how she's going to get out of the situation at a live pop concert. Josh Hartnett was excellent as Cooper, the serial killer. I haven't seen Trap. I think I've got it, actually. One of those ones I bought on a steelbook. My God. See, I'm thinking of all the films now. He did, Howard did. He did Cocoon, and he did Something Mind. Oh, for God's sake. All the things that are coming into my mind now of the films that he's done. Anyway, my question this week is, why are we intrigued by serial killers? What makes their evil so compelling? All my best wishes to you and your mum, and have a reet grand time. Thank you so much, matey. And I'm sorry, but I've got to bloody look this up now. Howard. Ron, Howard, God's sake. Jesus Christ, man. What is your brain doing, man? Jesus. Go and see his channel. Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. And he's such a supporter of me, and everything he does, I watch it. I watch the Doctor Who reviews. I watch all sorts. Just got a message, so I have to check it. Might be about my mum. And my sister's bound sure to be here shortly. No, we're okay. So we'll move on, and we've got Steve Still Plays Games. Brilliant guy. Just created his third channel, for God's sake, because the channels keep getting deleted and stuff happens. YouTube, get your act sorted. Anyway, hi Del, crikey, he says. It sounds like you've been through a damn hard time right now. Hope your mum is better and you've had hopefully a better week this week. I'm visiting my own mum tonight, Friday, but not really looking forward to it, as the dementia is getting worse and it's very upsetting to see her like this. I have no question right now, but I think you need a rest. All the best, my friend. And all I can say about that, Steve, is treasure these moments. When your mum's not here, dementia or otherwise, you're going to miss her so much. And you're going to miss those times that you could have had. And you're going to be going, and this happened to me, you're going to be going, why didn't I spend more time with my mum? If only I could have one more day. There you are. You got to do it, matey. And I know you will. It's not, that wasn't the intention to guilt trip or anything like that. I'm just saying to you, treasure these times, and I know you are. But when it comes to this channel, please ask comments, please ask questions. I've got to have normality, rest or not. You saw just then how my brain is not working very well, and they're forcing me to think. That's the brilliantness of it all. Salute, my friend, and I've been watching your channel at hospital, so thank you so much. And then we get to Sandra Clark. I haven't spoken to Sandra Clark in ages. She said, well, hello, Del. Sorry I don't get to reply much. Computer problems and we're moving house. That must be a stressful thing. I'm sorry your mom's in hospital and in a bad way. I am wishing her well and hoping she is be in a better way soon. Sorry I don't pray, as there is no God. I think most people know that now. And hey, religion, totally get that. I do hope next week's blog has some good news about your mum and yourself. All the best, dear. And thank you so much. And I will pass on a message from you to her. And thank you so much for the kind comment. And just being you, Sandra, and being here still. That's the thing. We'll move on now to, I think we got two from Wee Bob, but I think it's the same one. Hi, Del. Oh, just bear with me. There is a phone call, so just bear with me. Yes, my sister's turned up and it's nearly ready to go and see my mum. So you can imagine I'm anxious to go and see her anyway. So I'm going to continue. My sister said that she's happy to hang around, but I said go if she needs to. If I remember rightly, the last one was Sandra Clark, and I think Wee Bob has actually put 2 because this one starts off differently. It says, sorry to hear about your week and that your things going on with your mum. I know things are unlikely to get much better, but wishing you all the best for today and the coming weeks. I will maybe do a question later this week. Thanks for answering my question and mentioning my video. I have another 3 episodes lined up for each Wednesday, and he has done another one, by the way. I did decide to cut out my voice over as it was proving a lot of editing, which is a shame because I've enjoyed that. That's the bit that I really like. I will probably do a separate video with my thoughts on some of the subjects. And then he goes into a question which, anyway, I've mentioned my thoughts are with you and family, all the best. So I am glad I've read that out because I thought it was the same, but it's not. It's funny because I've got 2 here as well from the next one, which is Down the Rabbit Hole, my friend in Canada who's got his own channel. And I'll tell you what, it's a brilliant channel. He's put, really sorry to hear things with your mum have taken such a turn, Del. Halfway through this blog, I thought I heard you say that she had died. Glad to hear I misheard. Yeah. My God, that would be a totally different video. I'll be seeing my own mum on Wednesday, and I'll be far more grateful she is still with me, having heard your experience. Seems awful that we need a fright to make us appreciate how good we have things. Why can't we value them as normal state of mind? Take care, keep your chin up, all of them. I'm crossing my fingers. This is just a short-term set of events. Thank you so much, my friend, and what a powerful message, and what a great channel you've got. I watch it every week. I say it so much that there are certain people that I watch every week, regardless. It crops up and I'm instantly there, even if it's about something that I haven't really got a passion for or don't know too much about, like maybe Star Frontiers. I've watched them all. Brilliant stuff. It's just so entertaining. So entertaining. I think it pulls on a strength that a diverse channel like yours, which goes into many, many things, that there's a subject there that you won't have an interest in, that you'll watch it and you'll find it entertaining. It's like going into one of them lectures at school and you come away going, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like that. So thank you so much, and salute, my friend. He's got a channel. Go and have a look. And it's in my description. We move on to LFC Gamer and Vlogs, and he said, so sorry to hear about your mum, mate. For everyone's sake, I really hope things improve. Sending my best wishes to you, your sister, and most importantly, your mother. Stay safe. Thank you. Just a comment like that just is so lovely. Thank you so much. And he's got his own channel. This week he's done Sega Genesis music, if I remember rightly. Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you, and salute, my friend. And we move on to Seb's place. Something that Denny pointed out to me was Seb, and I saw his old videos, and then I've seen him grow to a juggernaut that he is now. My God, he's a juggernaut of a channel. The amount of subscribers, the editing that goes on now, it's just amazing. And he's put, what a shit week, mate. Don't feel guilty. You are going above and beyond looking after your mum. The fact that she has been in her own home must have meant so much to her, and that's down to you and your sister. Take care, and I hope next week is brighter. So do I, matey, and thank you so much. And I've got another one from Steve. He's probably put several. He's got, sorry to hear about your mum, mate. My thoughts are with you at this tough time. I hope things get better for both of you as soon as possible. See what I mean? Some of these are not duplicates. So Seb, what a channel. I've talked about him on my blogs. Go and have a look. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much for the kind words. Steve, you're still a git. Go to his channel. He's on his 3rd one now. My God, the man's a trier. Fantastic. Salute to both of you. Descriptions in the blog, in the description. Moving on to another person who's got a channel who I've got such respect for, and this time is the film side of things. Muckman Movies, who I even just did a live with Ian Hill, The Ramblings on. He's put, I know we discussed your mum on Wednesday, but I'll reiterate, I sincerely hope you all pull through this tough time. Take care to you both. And my God, has this man been put through the ringer this year with his own things going on with his family, his pets, his own scares of his own health, all that stuff. But he's got a measurable mind, focusing now on retiring early, relaxing, being at home, watching the films that he's collected. And I tell you, we have a little joke. I said, all I need to do, man, is find out where you live. Those shelves are going to be gone. You're going to be asleep, going to nick the bloody lot, and they're going to be in my house. Fantastic collection. Go and have a look. Absolutely fantastic. Cheers and thanks for the words, Jamie. His name's Jamie, Muckman Movies. Brilliant. We move on to 20th Century Gaming, who I see alive on most weekends. Absolutely fantastic. Got a great channel. And the man that is the most dedicated at playing games I've ever seen in my life. He's put, hope things just get better, mate. Tough times to deal with. And how true a word that you can say. Again, fantastic channel. Go and have a little look. Such a kind and generous guy as well. And a person that speaks his mind, which I really appreciate. Coming from his town, I think he lives near Newcastle or in Newcastle. But he's had a hard life, and we talk about his life in Oxford quite regularly. Just a great guy. Then we get to Cy Robson, another friend from Ian's channel, and a person that I have such great respect for. And he's got the most fantastic cinema up there. I'm dead jealous of him, to be quite honest. And he's put, mate, I know what you are going through. I went through it with my own mother. It's definitely a tough journey you and your sister are going through. All I can say is my thoughts, hugs and prayers go with your mother and your sister. If you ever need an ear to shout it out to, I'm always here for you. And what a brilliant, nice thing to say. I'm close to Cy with Ian on the channel, but don't know him enough to know email addresses and all that. But I know the sentiment for that. And absolutely marvellous. And what a incredibly nice thing to say. We have in the past had mutual friends, and I wish them well as well. I know that Cy, though, recognises what's going on with, because he calls her Mrs. Dell. What a lovely person he is. Kind, considerate person, and a person that wants to help our channels grow. So thank you so much. Salute, my friend, and thank you. We move to Martroid, who's been around me for just from day one. What a guy this guy is. Thanks for sharing about your mum's condition, Del. I'm really sorry to hear it's been such a turbulent time this last week. Wishing you and your family all the best, mate, and go easy on yourself. You're doing the best you can, and that's what truly matters. And it is. You can't say fairer than that with this. It's absolutely brilliant. All these people saying such nice things. Martroid, as always, salute. You're such a close person to me. Thank you so much for your support. Gans Teeth, who I hear on occasion, has been a person who's just supported me. I don't call people fans and all of this. Such a nice person who's supported me through these turbulent times. He's put, sorry to hear about your horrendous week. Glad to hear your mum got through her operation okay. Wishing you both all the best. Thank you so much. Absolutely. That's all you need to get through the week. Marvellous. And we get to the last but not least, and probably another, it's not probably, is one of my closest people I talk to on a regular basis. And you gotta know who this is. It's Colin Jones, aka Ponder. Such a technical guy, but recognises the turbulent times that I've been going through. He's put, as soon as I saw the length of your blog, I knew something was up. Yeah, I think possibly many would have guessed that. And yeah, it's going to be longer as we go on. We'll go back. But thank you for your understanding. Not knowing in cases like this is probably the worst thing ever. It's common and it shouldn't be. Thankfully, it looks like the worst case isn't happening, so that's good. Yes, and we're keeping on the positive side of that. Don't feel any guilt. You did what you did and you are what you are. You're doing the very best you can. and probably above and beyond, considering how you're physically hurt too. Yes, I am, and it's getting better. Well, you know, but I want that betterness to go to my mum. I'd give my life, my energy that's in me, to my mum, to have her back. I really would. Sending my best regards and hope things are better soon. Regarding watching stuff, you really can't watch everything you want to watch. I've given up even trying, because I was doing very little or of myself when I was. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I still find that I'm doing what I'm watching at a time where there's a lax going on, like at work doing a spreadsheet, or in a hospital, you know, where there's nothing going on. My mum's asleep, all of that sort of stuff. So they're distractions and they're great. Wow, you've put really good news on the tyre. That level of service is rare these days, and it really was. I thought I was going to be paying another 140 quid or something, you know, the call-out charge plus a new tyre and all of that. Got it for free. Gave him some money. I think it was a £5 or £10. I can't quite remember. But he came up here, spent an hour of his time. He must be on more than £10 an hour, take it like that. So, great. You asked a question last week, so I think he's answered it here. Personally, I stopped watching Eurovision not long after public voting started, and everyone just began voting for their neighbours rather than the best song, which I think Terry Wogan was the one that left it just when this was going on. But it had the voting for territory thing has been going on for years. I must admit, it's now about the performance and the routine and the special effects than the song. You continue, I won't be watching this year either, but I might make an exception for Sam's performance if I'm at home when it's on. And yeah, Sam is the person who's doing the Eurovision this year, by the way. I've seen it. Whether that'd win, I don't know. It is what it is. So I'm going to hold off from questions until things settle down, which is a shame, because that's sort of what's been going on this week. But take care, my friend, and salute. And I think everybody's recognising now my salute, which is from Frankie Howard Nut Pompey. So that's brilliant. And that's the end of the comments, to be quite honest. You will see that even though the blog ends around about here, I still carry on doing my watched on YouTube, my film, TV and stuff. I still write it all down, even though I'm not getting to it. So I will mention just a couple of things then. This week in retro, Tech Moan, Gadget Show, Chronologically Gaming. I watched those religiously. I didn't see anything from Tech Moan this week. He does a very technical and long edited show, so I'm not surprised at that. This week in retro, it was quite interesting because it was talking about preservation mostly. So I was really interested in that. It was a nice hour of watching. The Gadget Show was more about, I think, patting itself on the back a little bit, because the episodes were things like, we predicted this 15 years ago, were we right, and all of this sort of stuff, which is interesting stories. I'd like to probably go back in it to a couple of years now and say, I predicted this, did it come true? But I don't do much prediction, so it's nice that you can see a show that can do that. It's got a big base. I mentioned a site, but you can just search for this on the internet, on YouTube. Spider-Man and 3 More is the channel, and that's because the Spider-Man trailer came out. Most people know I'm a Spider-Man fan, and a couple of people that are very close to me texted me through, messaging or Discord. What did I think of the trailer? I didn't know it was even out, and in fact, the June 3 trailer is out the same day. And I gave my opinion on Ian's show, so go and have a little look. But I did watch the trailer, and it was that show, that actual YouTube channel that I watched to see the Spider-Man trailer. And what a trailer it is. It really is a good trailer. I enjoyed myself. It is under 2 minutes. So, very quick thing to you to watch. There was some other stuff. Comic Book Movie Collector did a retrospective of the Incredible Hulk 1982 cartoon, which I remember fondly, but more about Stanley's narration and the music that was used, because the music was used on the Hulk, but then also used in Dungeons and Dragons, the cartoon, and also used in the Spider-Man cartoon and His Amazing Friends, done by one composer and reused, and repetition meant it became a favourite tune of mine to have in my head. So absolutely marvellous. I'll mention a few here. I can only do a bit on this because I have got to go and see my mum. Ian Hill, The Ramblings. What can I say about this guy? You know how much I love his channel. He did his My Top 5 Westerns, and he's done between 1958 and 1964. Go and look at other blogs to see that he's now up to 1964. There is one every year, so there will be a gap from last week where I didn't mention this. Doctor Who review of the War Machines. I think last week it was the Ark. Can't remember. X-Files review season 6 episode 3, so last week it would have been episode 2. What I watched episode 10, which is brilliant. It's what he watched this week, and so last week it would have been number 9. But he also did his Doctor Who collection unboxing season 21, which is absolutely marvellous for people that might want to keep them in their sealed packaging. Why you would want to do that, I'm not sure, although I've got a ton to open at the moment, and that's just through time. And he did a going live with me. Absolutely marvellous. There's many more here. Jim Jam Movies did a charity show pickup. Muckman Movies did a review of Project Hail Mary. So we get to the Game and Tech YouTube. Down the Rabbit Hole, who I mentioned earlier, I said does such interesting things. In fact, interesting is the first word in one of his videos this week. Interesting. Is this German whiskey? Yes, he did. He showed a German whiskey, but it's from, I think, Scotland. It's a Scotch whiskey. So he did an Atari Jaguar Ruiner pinball review. So he was just showing off a pinball game on the Atari Jaguar. Although I think it was through the Atari 50 compilation. And he did a deliberation. And this was quite interesting. Arcades were his happy place to go to. But were they? If you think about it, all the delinquents hanged out there, older boys when you were younger, crimes were probably started and discussed there and gone out. Bullies would go there as well because you had a common interest in video games, and they would pick on you when they saw you at these places. Very, very interesting. Go and have a look at that. How can I not talk about Robert's retro gaming? He did his Dwarf Fortress and Minecraft stuff, but he also did his NES gameplay, Pico 8 gameplay, Commodore 64 gameplay, Atari 8-bit gameplay. I can't mention all of the games, just so much. And this is going to be the same for Steve's Gaming. Is Steve's Gaming still? He's continuing his series of Dark Souls. He's up to episode 9 now, so you can see I think I ended at 5 when I was doing it, but I have watched them, so there's 6 and 7 and 8. 9 now to look at. He did a couple of Commodore 64 games. He did Gates of Dawn and Apple Cider Spider, which is a very interesting game, that Apple Cider Spider, because he asked me to play it during a live stream that I did a couple of weeks ago. So you could look at that, and you could look at his channel. So there's some brilliant stuff there. And Colin Jones got to his 101th blog, Vblog. Fantastic stuff. I'm sorry I couldn't leave a message. He reads out the messages like me. He won't read out my name unless I've left a comment. That's totally understandable. I read out his channel stuff every week because I think it's fantastic, and I think everybody should go and have a look. So please do. And he did a Main Meister high score kerfuffle like he always does. Fantastic stuff. 20th Century Gaming did a live stream. Main Meister, my old mate and probably my oldest mate, did a Anirog Software Live. He's done part 1. He's now done part 2. He's doing some acting stuff, so that's why there's not so much mention of him in my blog at the moment. But he is such a great guy and a person who, you know, is like a brother to me. So there you go. Wee Bob Art, I mentioned before, is doing a Project Zomboid video type thing, and he's up to episode 2. He does a voiceover on it, although as I mentioned before, he's probably not doing that, but the voiceover's so funny, absolutely funny. It's a shame that might not be there. And David Retro Games Played Badly, he did a room tour and then said that he's done with YouTube. What a shame. I don't think that's true. I hope he does on occasion come back, I certainly will remain subscribed to him to see that alert come up. That's that. Just quickly then, we'll go to overhead camera. I try to keep these things as best as I can. You've got the Doctor Who season 21 box set. I have opened it. It is a lovely set, quite expensive. These sets are absolutely lovely. The artwork is fantastic. It's a different artwork underneath the card. Don't know if I can... It's very, very snug, but the card on the back, look, is Colin Baker, because it was a double season. Peter Davison ended, Colin Baker started. So that's there. I'm not sure if I showed some of these, but Somewhere in Time turned up. This is from America, so I bought it well before all of my mum's problems. It's from Kino Lorber. There you go. It's in the corner there. So you can't get those in this country. You have to get them from America. So there's that one. And this one must have just slipped through because I've cancelled an awful lot of my stuff. And I think it's because it's from Lionsgate. It's Now You See Me Steelbook. Most of my stuff with Amazon is cancelled or diminished to a state where it's hardly worth mentioning. And that's the end of the blog. I'm going to go and see my mum now. Hope you understood. This one will probably be called Mum Update Part 2. Not very original. Shorter again. But I've expanded it as much as I could that I can. I'm off to see my mum now. So salute till next week. There will always be a blog. Every week. It doesn't matter. And I'll try and keep it as it is. And put extra goodies in where I can. And I hope my comments come through and questions. I'd like it to remain, but I recognise I'm in a difficult place. So with that, salute, take care of yourself, look after those loved ones. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.